There are moments in life when a single sentence can lift a person higher than years of noise and effort. Words, when spoken with wisdom and grace, carry a quiet power that announces who we are before we ever try to prove it. Some people walk into a room and command respect not because they speak the loudest, but because their words carry thought, dignity, and calm confidence. They understand that language is not merely sound drifting through the air. It is the reflection of a disciplined mind and a generous spirit. Today, I want to share with you the beauty of a few simple phrases, small collections of words that hold the strength to elevate your presence, deepen the respect others feel for you, and remind the world that true status is not built on pride or power, but on wisdom, humility, and the courage to speak with purpose. There is a quiet strength in the simple act of acknowledging another person's thoughts. When you say, "I appreciate your perspective," you are doing something rare in a world that often rushes to argue, to correct, and to prove itself right. You are choosing respect over ego, understanding over noise. And in that moment, something powerful happens. The room softens, defenses fall. People begin to see you not as someone who must win every conversation, but as someone who carries a calm and thoughtful authority. That kind of presence cannot be forced. It is earned through the grace of listening. Too often, people believe their status rises when their voice rises, when they dominate the conversation or press their opinions harder than everyone else. But true respect does not grow from shouting louder. It grows from the courage to listen deeply. When you appreciate someone's perspective, you are not surrendering your own ideas. You are simply showing that your confidence is strong enough to make space for another mind to speak. And there is a quiet elegance in that kind of strength. It tells the world that you do not fear different viewpoints, because you understand that wisdom is often born where perspectives meet. Think about the people who leave the deepest impression on us. They are rarely the ones who talk endlessly about themselves. They are the ones who listen with intention, who pause before responding, and who honor the humanity in the person standing before them. When you say, "I appreciate your perspective," you create a bridge where there might have been a wall. You invite dialogue instead of conflict. And in doing so, you elevate not only the conversation, but also the respect others naturally begin to feel for you. This phrase also carries a quiet lesson in humility. It reminds us that none of us walk through life holding every answer. Each person we meet has lived a story we have not lived, faced storms we may never understand, and gathered wisdom along paths we have never traveled. When we recognize this truth, our conversations change. They become less about proving our intelligence and more about expanding our understanding. And the remarkable thing is that people instinctively trust those who show this kind of humility. In the end, status is not measured by how often people agree with you, but by how people feel when they speak with you. Do they feel dismissed, or do they feel heard? Do they feel small, or do they feel respected? A person who appreciates another's perspective carries a quiet dignity that cannot be faked. It is the mark of someone who understands that respect is not taken. It is cultivated through patience, kindness, and the wisdom to recognize value in voices beyond our own. And when you carry that spirit into your words, people will not only listen to you, they will remember you. There is a rare kind of strength in a person who does not rush to speak. In a world that celebrates quick answers and fast reactions, there is quiet dignity in the simple phrase, "Let me think about that." These few words carry a calm power because they reveal a mind that values wisdom more than speed. They tell the people around you that your thoughts are not scattered by pressure, that your judgment is guided not by impulse but by reflection. And when a person learns to pause before responding, they begin to command a deeper kind of respect. Too often we are taught that confidence means having an answer for everything. We feel the need to respond immediately to prove that we are capable, intelligent, and prepared. But the truth is that the wisest voices in any room are often the ones that take a moment of silence before they speak. Silence, when chosen with intention, is not weakness. It is a sign that the mind is carefully weighing the moment, searching for understanding rather than rushing toward noise. When you say, "Let me think about that," you give yourself the gift of space. Space to examine the idea placed before you. Space to consider the consequences of your words. Space to respond with clarity instead of confusion. And in that pause, something beautiful happens. People begin to see that your words are not careless. They are chosen with thought and purpose, like stones placed carefully to build a lasting path. This phrase also teaches patience, both for yourself and for others. Not every situation demands an instant response. Some decisions deserve time, reflection, and a deeper look beneath the surface. When you allow yourself that moment of thought, you step away from the chaos of hurried opinions and step into the calm territory of deliberate wisdom. People notice that difference. They begin to understand that when you finally speak, your words carry weight. There is also humility in this simple sentence. It quietly admits that every thought does not have to be born in the blink of a moment. It reminds us that learning and understanding are ongoing journeys. When you pause to think, you are showing that you respect the importance of the moment enough to give it your full attention. That kind of humility is not something people overlook. It makes your presence feel steady, grounded, and trustworthy. And perhaps most importantly, this thoughtful pause protects your voice from regret. Words spoken too quickly often carry the sharp edges of emotion or misunderstanding. But words that have been given a moment to breathe tend to arrive with clarity and grace. They build bridges instead of barriers. They offer solutions instead of confusion. They leave behind respect instead of tension. So never underestimate the quiet authority of those four simple words. Let me think about that. Within them lives patience, wisdom, and calm confidence. They remind us that true strength is not found in the speed of our replies, but in the depth of our understanding. And when you allow yourself that thoughtful pause, you show the world that your voice is not guided by haste, but by the steady rhythm of a mind that values truth, reflection, and the power of well-chosen words. There is a quiet nobility in the simple question, "How can I help?" These four words may seem small, almost ordinary, yet they carry a strength that has the power to transform the way people see you. In a world where many are busy protecting their own interests, a person who offers help without hesitation stands apart, like a light in a crowded room. This question does not shout for recognition, yet it earns something far greater than attention. It earns trust. And trust, more than any title or position, is what truly raises a person's status. When you ask someone how you can help, you are doing more than offering assistance. You are telling another human being that their burden matters, that their challenge is not invisible, that they do not have to carry everything alone. There is dignity in that kind of presence. People remember those who show up not only with words, but with willingness. They remember the ones who step forward when others step back. And slowly, quietly, respect begins to grow around the person who carries that spirit of service. Many people chase influence by trying to prove their importance. They want their voices to be the loudest, their opinions to be the strongest, their achievements to be the most visible. But true influence rarely grows from self-promotion. It grows from contribution. The individuals who shape communities, workplaces, and friendships are often the ones who look around and ask how they can be useful. They do not wait for applause or reward. They simply understand that lifting others has a way of lifting everyone, including themselves. There is also humility woven into this question. It reminds us that greatness is not measured by how many people serve us, but by how many people we are willing to serve. When someone hears you sincerely ask, "How can I help?" they feel valued, they feel seen. And when people feel valued, they naturally begin to respect the person who made them feel that way. It is a quiet kind of leadership, one that does not rely on authority but on humanity. This phrase also changes the atmosphere of a room. Problems that once felt heavy begin to feel manageable when someone offers their hands and heart to the solution. Instead of standing on the outside pointing at difficulties, you step inside the circle of responsibility. And when people see that you are willing to stand with them rather than above them, they begin to view you not just as a participant, but as a pillar. In the end, the most powerful individuals are not always the ones with the grandest titles or the loudest voices. Often, they are the ones who understand the quiet art of service. They are the people who recognize that kindness, generosity, and willingness create a legacy far stronger than pride ever could. And so when you ask, "How can I help?" you are doing more than offering assistance. You are revealing the depth of your character. And character, more than anything else in this world, is what truly earns lasting respect. There is a quiet courage in the words, "I was wrong, and I'm learning." For many people, admitting a mistake feels like lowering their guard, like placing their pride out in the open where it might be judged. Yet the truth is far more powerful than that. A person who can stand tall and acknowledge their misstep reveals a strength that cannot be easily shaken. These words do not weaken your presence, they deepen it. They show the world that your character is not built on the fragile need to appear perfect, but on the solid ground of honesty and growth. Too often, people spend enormous energy trying to protect the illusion that they never make mistakes. They defend their actions, shift the blame, or build walls around their pride. But those walls quietly distance them from others. They create a space where learning cannot enter and where relationships struggle to breathe. When someone instead says, "I was wrong," something remarkable happens. The tension fades. The conversation becomes human again. Suddenly the room feels lighter because truth has a way of dissolving the heavy weight of pretense. But the true beauty of this phrase lies in the second half, "and I'm learning." Those words turn a mistake into a doorway instead of a dead end. They remind us that life is not a test we must pass without error, but a journey meant to shape us. Every misstep becomes a teacher when we have the humility to listen. Every wrong turn becomes a lesson when we choose growth over stubbornness. And people instinctively respect those who have the courage to grow in front of them. When you speak these words, you also give others permission to be human. You create an environment where mistakes are not hidden in shame but examined with wisdom. This kind of honesty builds trust in ways that perfection never could. People feel safer around someone who does not pretend to have every answer. They feel inspired by someone who is willing to learn openly and improve with grace. There is also dignity in the understanding that wisdom is not born from never falling, but from rising with greater awareness each time we do. The strongest individuals are not those who avoid every failure. They are the ones who meet their failures with reflection, humility, and determination. They allow their mistakes to polish their character instead of hardening their pride. Imagine the difference this simple phrase can make in your relationships, your work, and your leadership. When conflict arises, when misunderstandings happen, when life reveals that you are still learning, as we all are, these words can restore connection and rebuild respect. They show that your identity is not threatened by growth. Instead, it is strengthened by it. In the end, true status is not measured by how flawlessly you appear, but by how honestly you evolve. A person who can say, "I was wrong and I'm learning," carries a rare kind of wisdom. It is the wisdom of humility, the wisdom of courage, and the wisdom of a heart that understands that every day offers another chance to become a better version of who we were yesterday. And there is nothing more powerful than a person who is brave enough to grow. There is a quiet grace in the words, "Thank you for bringing that to my attention." At first glance, they may seem simple, almost ordinary, yet within them lives a powerful kind of wisdom. In a world where criticism often feels like an attack and correction can stir defensiveness, these words choose a different path. They transform a moment that could easily become conflict into a moment of growth. And when a person responds to criticism with gratitude instead of resistance, they reveal a confidence that stands taller than pride. Many people react to correction with immediate defense. The heart tightens, the voice grows sharper, and the conversation turns into a struggle to protect one's ego. But the truth is, criticism, when offered with sincerity, can be a mirror that shows us something we may not yet see in ourselves. When you say, "Thank you for bringing that to my attention," you step away from the instinct to defend and step toward the courage to understand. You show that your identity is not so fragile, that it cannot hold a moment of truth. These words carry humility, but they also carry strength. They say to the world that you are secure enough in who you are to consider the possibility of improvement. They tell people that you value awareness more than pride. And that kind of response has a way of surprising others. Instead of meeting resistance, they encounter openness. Instead of facing a wall, they find a doorway. What is remarkable about this phrase is how it changes the energy of a conversation. Criticism that might have sparked tension becomes an opportunity for reflection. The moment softens. The focus shifts from blame to understanding. And in that shift, respect quietly grows. People begin to see that you are someone who listens not only when praise is offered, but also when correction appears. There is also a deeper lesson hidden within this response. None of us move through life seeing every corner of our own behavior. Each of us has blind spots, places where habit, assumption, or simple human imperfection keeps us from seeing clearly. Sometimes it takes another voice to illuminate those places. When that happens, the wise person does not rush to silence the light. They welcome it, even when it reveals something uncomfortable. By thanking someone for bringing something to your attention, you demonstrate maturity. You show that you understand growth is rarely comfortable, yet always valuable. Instead of shrinking from feedback, you recognize it as a tool that sharpens character and strengthens awareness. And people naturally admire those who carry that kind of openness. Over time, this habit shapes the way others see you. They begin to recognize you as someone who is thoughtful, grounded, and committed to becoming better rather than simply appearing flawless. That kind of character cannot be imitated with empty words. It must be lived with sincerity. In the end, the ability to receive criticism with grace is a quiet mark of greatness. When you say, "Thank you for bringing that to my attention," you transform a moment of correction into a moment of dignity. You prove that growth matters more than ego, wisdom matters more than pride, and that a person who is willing to learn will always rise higher than one who only wishes to appear right. There is a deep respect hidden inside the simple words, "I value your time." In a world that moves quickly and asks much of every person, time has become one of the most precious things we possess. It cannot be stored, borrowed, or reclaimed once it has passed. Every minute someone gives you is a small piece of their life offered freely. And when you acknowledge that gift with sincerity, you reveal a level of awareness and class that people rarely forget. Many people speak as if time belongs only to them. They arrive late without apology, prolong conversations without thought, and expect others to adjust their lives around their convenience. But a person who says, "I value your time," stands apart from that careless rhythm. These words show consideration. They show that you understand the unseen responsibilities, dreams, and commitments that fill another person's day. And in recognizing that, you quietly elevate the way people experience you. Respecting someone's time is also a reflection of discipline. It means you have learned to organize your own moments with care, to arrive prepared, to speak with intention rather than wandering endlessly through conversation. When people see that you honor their time, they begin to feel that their presence matters. They feel seen not just as participants in a moment, but as individuals whose lives hold importance beyond the room you share. There is also humility in this phrase. It reminds us that no person's schedule is more valuable than another's. The teacher, the worker, the friend, the stranger all move through the same passing hours of a day that will never return. When you recognize the value of someone's time, you recognize their humanity. And that kind of awareness brings a quiet dignity to your words and actions. What is remarkable is how such a simple acknowledgement can strengthen trust. When people know you respect their time, they feel more comfortable sharing it with you. They become more willing to listen, collaborate, and build meaningful connections. Your conversations become more purposeful. Your presence feels considerate and thoughtful rather than demanding or careless. This awareness also encourages clarity in the way you communicate. When you value someone's time, you choose your words carefully. You express your thoughts with purpose. You listen attentively so that the exchange becomes meaningful instead of scattered. And people notice that difference. They recognize that when you speak, it is not to fill silence but to create understanding. There is elegance in a person who moves through life with this kind of respect. They do not rush others, nor do they waste the moments offered to them. They treat time like a shared treasure, something that deserves appreciation rather than assumption. And because of that, people naturally see them as thoughtful, reliable, and worthy of trust. In the end, status is not raised by grand gestures alone. Sometimes it rises through the quiet recognition of what truly matters. When you say, "I value your time," you are offering more than politeness. You are showing awareness, respect, and maturity. And those qualities carry a quiet authority that no title or position can ever replace. When people feel that you honor their time, they will also learn to honor your presence. There is a subtle power in the words, "Let's find a solution." These words carry more weight than they may seem to at first glance. In moments of conflict, frustration, or challenge, it is easy to become trapped in the endless cycle of complaints, blame, and fear. Many people dwell on problems, repeating them, analyzing them, or lamenting them as if speaking about the difficulty itself will somehow ease it. But those who speak with the intention of solving, who direct their energy toward what can be done rather than what went wrong, stand apart. When you say, "Let's find a solution," you are stepping out of the cycle of despair and into a space of empowerment. You are inviting others to shift their focus from obstacles to opportunity, from stagnation to movement. These words carry leadership within them. They do not demand that one person have all the answers, nor do they place blame on anyone for the current situation. Instead, they acknowledge the problem with clarity and then redirect energy toward action. When people hear this phrase, they feel a sense of calm. They feel that, even in difficulty, there is a way forward. And when a group begins to focus on solutions rather than problems, a remarkable transformation occurs. Ideas flow, collaboration deepens, and respect for the person who leads with this mindset grows naturally. Leadership is not only in making decisions, but in creating an environment where constructive action is possible. There is also humility and inclusion embedded in this phrase. By saying, "Let's find a solution," you are acknowledging that solutions are rarely the work of a single mind. You are inviting others to contribute, to think, and to be part of the process. This simple act transforms tension into teamwork, frustration into focus, and resistance into engagement. People begin to see that you do not shy away from difficulty. You face it with intention, patience, and a willingness to collaborate. And collaboration is where respect deepens, because it recognizes the value of every individual's contribution. These words also inspire confidence because they show resolve. In a world that often magnifies problems, people are drawn to those who demonstrate the ability to respond, to act, and to move forward. When someone hears, "let's find a solution," they feel that no challenge is insurmountable, that setbacks are temporary, and that effort directed toward resolution has purpose. Confidence, when paired with action, is magnetic. People naturally gravitate toward those who offer clarity and direction in moments of uncertainty. There is also a profound optimism in these words. They carry a quiet faith that no matter the difficulty, there is a path forward, a possibility to be discovered, a step that can be taken. And in offering that optimism to others, you raise not only your status, but also the collective spirit of those around you. You show that problems, no matter how daunting, do not define the room, the team, or the relationship. Solutions do. And those who consistently speak in the language of possibility cultivate respect, trust, and admiration. In the end, the phrase, "let's find a solution," is more than a call to action. It is a declaration of leadership, a statement of collaboration, and a reminder that human effort directed toward purpose transforms difficulty into growth. The person who speaks these words is someone who does not linger in complaint or despair. They are someone who moves forward with courage, clarity, and a commitment to making things better. And that, above all else, is the kind of presence that elevates a person, quietly, consistently, and powerfully. There is a remarkable power in the phrase, "we can do better, and we will." It is simple, yet it carries the weight of hope, responsibility, and determination. These words are not spoken in pride or arrogance, but in the quiet confidence that human effort, guided by purpose and integrity, can always improve. When you say them, you are acknowledging that the present is not perfect, that there is room for growth, and that you are committed, not alone, but with others, to reaching higher. There is a courage in admitting that we have not yet reached our full potential, and there is a strength in pledging that we will continue striving together. Too often, people respond to challenges by settling into excuses, by blaming circumstances, or by allowing failure to harden into resignation. But those who speak with conviction, "we can do better," and "we will," refuse to accept stagnation. They remind everyone in the room that progress is always possible when we act with intention and unity. These words shift the focus from fault to action, from despair to opportunity. They carry a subtle leadership because they invite others to believe in improvement, not as a vague hope, but as a shared mission. There is also inclusivity embedded in this statement. It is not "I can do better" spoken in isolation, but "we can do better," which honors the power of collective effort. It recognizes that no individual accomplishes greatness alone. Every achievement is shaped by the contributions of many, and every improvement requires collaboration, communication, and shared commitment. When people hear this phrase, they are reminded that their efforts matter, that their voice and energy are part of a larger purpose. It inspires a sense of belonging and accountability that strengthens relationships and fosters respect. These words are not empty promises. They carry the responsibility to act. Saying them means you will face obstacles with resilience, that you will meet setbacks with patience, and that you will approach each challenge with determination. There is a quiet discipline in committing to improvement, for it requires honesty about shortcomings, courage to change, and persistence to follow through. It is this combination of honesty and resolve that commands respect more than any boast or pretense ever could. People are drawn to those who do not simply talk about potential, but actively work to realize it. Moreover, this phrase carries optimism without naivety. It does not deny the difficulty of the task or the presence of obstacles. Instead, it acknowledges the reality of struggle and pairs it with a steadfast commitment to move forward. It reminds us that failure is not the end, that mistakes are lessons, and that effort guided by purpose can always lead to improvement. When spoken in the right tone, it ignites inspiration, encourages collaboration, and instills hope even in moments of doubt. Ultimately, "we can do better and we will" is a statement that elevates everyone who hears it. It turns uncertainty into possibility, weakness into determination, and individual effort into collective progress. Those who live by these words show that true status is not about being perfect, but about striving, inspiring, and lifting others along the way. When you speak with that conviction, people do more than listen. They feel motivated, they feel seen, and they feel the quiet but undeniable pull toward greatness that can only come from shared purpose and unwavering hope.